The mist rolled down from the Carpathian Mountains like a living thing, heavy and damp, swallowing the twisting roads and thick forests that surrounded the ancient village of Branwick. It was the kind of mist that muffled footsteps and made lantern lights flicker and vanish. The villagers, a tight-knit group of old families, knew better than to wander outside after dark. Old stories clung to this place like ivy, stories of creatures that did not belong to the world of men. It was on such a night that a black carriage arrived at the village gates. Its horses were too thin, their breath steaming unnaturally in the cool air, and its driver was an expressionless man in a long, buttoned coat. None of the villagers approached as the carriage rattled toward the heart of Branwick, stopping before the only inn, the Red Hart. Inside the inn, the fire crackled warmly, and the heavy wooden beams groaned with the weight of centuries. The villagers hunched over their drinks, exchanging wary glances. No one dared speak as the stranger entered. He was tall, dressed entirely in black velvet, with a face as pale as ash. His eyes were the color of dried blood, sunken and glinting with a cold hunger that made the hairs rise on every neck in the room. He introduced himself in a voice soft and musical. "I am Count Soren Valen. I seek accommodation." The innkeeper, a round man named Gregor, hesitated only a moment before nodding stiffly. The laws of hospitality ran deeper here than fear. The Count was given the best room, the room above the kitchen, where the warmth of the fire would rise into the floorboards. That night, the village held its breath. It was Anna Petrescu, the baker's daughter, who first disappeared. She was last seen carrying a basket of bread through the fog, humming softly to herself. In the morning, her basket was found lying in the mud near the churchyard. The bread was untouched, but there was blood, just a few drops, spattered across the cobblestones. No one spoke aloud what they were thinking, but their eyes said it all. Something had come with the mist. The elders gathered in secret that night. Behind locked doors and drawn curtains, they dug out ancient, yellowed texts, pages filled with symbols and warnings. The signs were all there. Animals slaughtered and drained of blood, crops wilting despite rain, the smell of rot in the morning air. A vampire, one of the old blood. The villagers whispered about the Count. His arrival had been too sudden, his presence too heavy. The mist seemed thicker now, almost solid. You could lose your way between your own doorstep and the barn. Strange shapes flickered just beyond sight. Shadows that seemed almost human, but moved wrong, twisted and jerking like broken marionettes. The village's priest, Father Anton, knew the old rites. At dawn, he called the people to the church and sprinkled holy water over the congregation, chanting prayers of protection. But as he raised the crucifix over the crowd, it blackened in his hands. A wail went up among the people. The church could no longer protect them. That night, the village square burned with the light of 100 torches. Fear had become rage. Gregor, the innkeeper, led the mob toward the Red Hart, their faces twisted in terror. But the Count was gone. His room was empty, untouched. No tracks led from the inn, only the lingering smell of old earth and something else, something sweet and rancid at once like spoiled wine. Father Anton, shaking with dread, understood them. The Count had not been alone. There were others. The villagers fortified their homes, nailed garlic to the doors, placed bowls of salt at the windowsills. Dogs howled all night, their cries full of mourning. Then the dreams began. Each night, the villagers dreamed of a black tower rising from the heart of the forest, its spires clawing at a blood-red sky. In these dreams, they walked toward the tower, unable to stop themselves. They could feel hands reaching out of the mist. Some never woke again. Their bodies remained in their beds, eyes wide open, mouths frozen in silent screams. The village healer, an old woman named Mirela, was the first to fight back. She brewed potions from wolfsbane and ironwood bark, stitch charms. But it wasn't enough. One evening, as she prepared her potions by candlelight, a figure appeared at her door, a woman clad in a tattered bridal gown, her veil stained dark with blood. Mirela tried to speak to ward her off. The woman smiled, and the candles went out. When the villagers found Mirela's home the next morning, there was no sign of struggle. Only her tools scattered across the floor, and a single bloody handprint smeared across the ceiling, as if something had carried her upward. Father Anton called for desperate measures. He urged the villagers to flee, to abandon Branwick before it was too late. But the mist had thickened into a wall. No one could leave. The forest itself seemed to move, paths twisting, trees closing in like jailers. Trapped, one by one, the villagers fell. Children whispered of pale figures watching them from the well. Farmers spoke of hearing laughter echoing from empty barns. And always, the dreams of the Black Tower grew stronger. In the final days, only a handful remained: Gregor, Father Anton, a young hunter named Luca, and a seamstress called Elira. Together, they made a plan. They would follow the dreams. They would find the Black Tower, and they would end this. Armed with torches, crosses, and the last of Mirela's potions, they ventured into the forest. The trees seemed to bleed as they brushed past, sap oozing like dark blood. The path wound tighter and tighter, leading them deeper into the heart of the mist. Hours, or perhaps days, passed. Time lost meaning. At last they saw it. The tower was real. It rose from the earth like a wound, its stones blackened and slick with something that wasn't moss. Bats circled its spires, shrieking in a tongue that hurt to hear. The door stood open, waiting. Inside, the air was colder than death. The walls pulsed as if the tower itself were breathing. Whispers slid through the darkness, promising eternal life, endless power, if they would just surrender. Gregor fell first. The shadows wrapped around him, lifting him into the air. His mouth opened, and a second mouth, hidden within, emerged, screaming. Elira tried to pull him down. He disintegrated into ash in her hands. Father Anton pressed forward, clutching his cross. They found a great hall at the tower's heart, lit by a single brazier filled with black fire. There, upon a throne of bone and gold, sat Count Soren Valen, or what had been him. His form was shifting, unraveling, a swirling mass of faces and arms. "You came willingly," he purred, his voice layered with 1,000 others. "You have passed the test." Luca hurled a spear dipped in holy oil. The Count caught it in midair, laughing. Father Anton began to pray, his words growing louder, sharper. The tower trembled. The Count howled, recoiling as if struck. Luca and Elira seized the moment, rushing forward, plunging their blessed weapons into the creature's heart. The Count shrieked, a sound so pure and terrible that the walls cracked. The black fire exploded outward. The mist burned away. The tower crumbled. When the dust cleared, only Luca and Elira stood. They returned to Branwick to find the village empty. No bodies, no signs of life, only silence. The forest had retreated. The roads were clear. They left, never to return. And in the centuries that followed, Branwick became a legend, a place erased from maps, spoken of only in hushed whispers by those who still believe in the things that lurk beyond the light.